Today we're going to be taking a look at the Boss ME90 and seeing how it stacks up against a real tube amp. Mostly we're going to be looking at the preamp section, and I'm going to be using the Senta OD as a solo boost. This unit's a couple of years old at this point, and the only reason I bought it was because this guy is on the fritz. This is the Boss ME90, which I have been using since its release in 2009. I've gigged with it several gigs, dozens, hundreds of gigs over the last 16 years, and it's starting to get a little wonky on me. It still works for me right now. However, some of the dials on it will randomly start adjusting themselves, even though nobody's touching the knobs. And luckily, I believe that it is one of these knobs up here. And luckily for me, whenever I gig with this, I do not use the preamp section on it. The ME90 preamp section is way inferior to this guy. I only gig with this for the effects, a boost, and the volume pedal, the tuner. I'll make another video comparing the effects section to this one. But for today's purposes, we're just going to be taking a look at the preamp in this guy. So now we're going to see how this thing stacks up against my regular gigging amp, which is a Crate Vintage Club 30. It's an all tube, uses EL84s, just like a Marshall, poor man's Marshall. If you haven't heard of a Crate Vintage Club 30, if you're looking to get a tube amp on a budget, you might want to scoop one up, because that's probably going to be the next thing, that budget gear that everybody's going to be going after. Anyway, let's see how the Boss ME90 stacks up against the Crate Vintage Club 30.
All right, so my final thoughts on the Boss ME90 amp sim. Back to back, yes, I clearly prefer my amp. It has a little extra air around it. It's more open, it's more natural sounding. But without switching back and forth, honestly, can't tell a whole lot of a difference. I mean, who cares, right? Like, it sounds like a guitar, especially in a mix. To me, it doesn't sound choked or unnatural, only whenever you put it right next to the real thing. Dweezil Zappa just put out a video comparing his Helix to a real Marshall, and he did a back-to-back comparison. And yeah, I could still tell a difference, even on a high-level amp sim like the Helix. But was it pretty close? Yeah. And if I didn't hear the real thing right next to it, wouldn't have known, wouldn't have cared. And I think the same thing's true with the Boss ME90. It's a fully adequate amp sim. So, if I'm in a pinch and I need to record something, if I've got a great idea and I don't want to wake up my wife and kid and go lay something down in the middle of the night, it's there for me. I'm into it. I'm here for it. Pretty sure the real thing's always going to be better, but amp sims have come so far that seriously, who cares? The biggest drawback to using amp sims, in my opinion, is that you're going to be using the same tones that everybody else is using. And if that's not a big deal for you, then that's fine. I'll always prefer using my amp over an amp sim just because I feel like I have a unique amp that not everybody's playing through, and it has a few characteristics all its own that other people aren't getting because they're not using that amp. The other aspect of that is mic placement and mic choice. If everybody's using the same amp sims, then everybody's using the same cabinets and speakers and mics and mic placements, but you can use other mics and place them in other areas and get different tones and use different combinations. So I don't think amp sims will ever fully replace miking up an amp, but it'll certainly do in a pinch or when convenience is the most important thing. Like, I've got to get this idea out of my head right now. So anyway, this is Murph Adams with Flying Doodah Productions. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.